I think there's two issues. One of them is prevalence, and then the other one is connections. Because we know that in Trinidad and Tobago and in Canada and around the Caribbean, that there's such a high prevalence of gender-based violence, and it's really, really affecting all different parts of society. We know that when there's gender-based violence at home, it affects how children grow up, it affects how women are operating, and it affects how men are operating in society. This can lead to other types of crime, including drug abuse or participation in gangs. So we know that at the very base of many of society's challenges is gender-based violence. And then when we're speaking about online challenges, the world is just so much more connected, and it's so easy to bring out all sorts of different persona online. And you can be the nicest person online, or you can be the nastiest person online. And unfortunately, more and more, we're seeing people choose to be nasty. And you can do that right across the world, from any corner of the globe to right here in Trinidad and Tobago, or from Trinidad and Tobago to Canada, or from Canada to Trinidad and Tobago. So the main thing about Canada and Trinidad and Tobago, our relationship is so close. It's based on hundreds and hundreds of years of people-to-people connections. And that means that what happens in Trinidad and Tobago, what happens in Port of Spain, matters to Toronto, and it matters to all of Canada. And what happens in Canada matters to what happens in Port of Spain. So your security here is my security at home. That makes us more than just friends, it makes us family. And family takes care of each other. And that's why the Canadian High Commission is backing this campaign to fight gender-based violence. Because we know gender-based violence here can create gender-based violence in Canada. This is especially true online, and that's where I think we can really make a difference, because we can get our message out just as other people are getting their message out online, and we can bring one of peace and friendship and love and of respect. At the heart of combating gender-based violence is really supporting victims, but also addressing the people who are doing gender-based violence. And so often that is men and boys. So we really need to be able to speak to men and boys in a way that gets through to them, so that they are not perpetuating some of the stuff that's happened to perhaps them in the past or what they've seen, and to break these cycles. And then when you get to the community level, it's all about establishing the right type of feeling and the right type of vibes in the community, so that if you're seeing something, you're gonna do something about it. And we did a great talk last year called Call Up Your Brethren. And that's all about men. If they see something, they gotta talk to their friends, they gotta talk to their brothers. If they can, they gotta talk to their fathers about not doing this type of stuff. Each individual has to make a choice not to do gender-based violence, not to abuse your loved ones, not to abuse somebody you're meeting online. So every single person in Trinidad and Tobago, in Canada and around the globe has a role to play, and it's really simple. And it starts with respect, it starts with loving your neighbor, loving your family, and just making sure that we treat everybody the way that we want to be treated. Just take care of each other.
The role of the United Nations Resident Coordinator and the office of the RC is to bring the UN system entities together, focusing on the national priorities in a coherent and coordinated manner. I work with the UN country team of agencies represented in Trinidad, but also with the non-resident agencies engaging with the government and civil society through their regional programs and headquarters based in the different countries of the Caribbean. There's quite a lot of work being done in Trinidad and Tobago. I think that there's a very visible commitment to understanding both opportunities of the digital age, but also the crime and violence that happens on the internet. And we have a very advanced program of cooperation with the government of Trinidad and Tobago to prevent crime on the internet.
Of course, we take this opportunity to celebrate all the work that UN partners, as well as organizations and civil society organizations, including young people, have been doing towards addressing technology-facilitated gender-based violence. And all this comes together in commemoration of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence online. We recognize that what happens in the digital space also translates to what happens in our physical and daily lives. As one of our initiatives, we are working in collaboration with ECLAC and ParlAmericas to conduct a survey of 10 countries within the Caribbean region to look into the lives of women in public life and their experience with digital violence. We're hoping that we are able to at least get a deep insight into their lived experiences and come out with some advocacy points to really strengthen the area of prevention in these spaces. Coupled with that is our initiative around 16 days of activism in collaboration with UN Women and the Resident Coordinator's Office of the UN, drawing attention to technology-facilitated gender-based violence through advocacy and art. As part of this, we will be doing the mural, but we'll also be launching a competition with the young persons within schools and secondary schools particularly to see what they come up with in terms of their experiences as well.